Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the temple for Shabbat evening services. We're so glad you've been able to join us, both some of you in person and all of you have been able to join on YouTube watching our stream services. We welcome you to Louisville on Yom HaSuss on Derby weekend. We're very pleased to have you join us. Our services are led this evening in Mishkan Tefillah for Shabbat, our prayer book of the Reform movement. If you have a copy, you can follow along. If you don't, there's a digital flipbook version in the description of our YouTube channel. We'd love you to join in, sing along, pray with us, and share Shabbat joy. Our opening song is Hine Ma Tov. You can find it on page 10. You probably know the words.
Hine ma tov manayim, shevet amim gam yachad. 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 Hine ma tov manayim, shevet amim gam yachad.
It's my pleasure now to invite Justin Peppers to lead us here live in the lighting of the candles and saying the Kiddush. If the congregation would like to follow along, we begin on page 3. Justin.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lihadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Justin, will you lead us in the Kiddush?
Yes.
We're on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pori hagafen. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Thank you, Justin. We continue with a special prayer for our country and for justice. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have and by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonder of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who've died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and from strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. And let us say together, Amen.
Amen.
We continue now on page 20, the singing of Lecha Dodi. Rise together as we turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Continue on page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and of night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty, forever and ever.
Shema
And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be upon your heart, shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
Please join me in the V'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We turn now to page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there's a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there's no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עוזב עלה, נורא תהילות עוזב עלה.
Continue on page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. You can find the words to Yismachu on page 44. Please join in.
Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat
V'hashvi Ratzita bo v'kitosh bo Shabbat Chimdat yamim Oto karata
Shabbat Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Zecher L'maaseh L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat Zecher L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malchutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Please rise for the tefillah.
na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Konei Hakol ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'Neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Ba'ahava, Melech, Ozer, Moshiach, Umagen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, God of our fathers and our mothers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rebekah, God of Rachel, and God of Leah, the great, mighty, and awesome God, transcendent God, who bestows loving kindness, creates everything out of love, remembers the love of our fathers and our mothers, and brings redemption to their children's children for the sake of the divine name. Sovereign, deliverer, helper, and shield. Blessed are you, Adonai, Sarah's helper, Abraham's shield. Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You rain dew upon us. You sustain life through love, giving life to all. Through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up and faithfully giving life to all? Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol. Please join me. You are holy. Your name is holy. And those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We continue with our prayer for peace, which can be found on page 61, as we join reading together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hamvarech et Amo Yisrael, Bashalom.
Shalom Ra'al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Ra'al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Yotov Melech Adon Lechol Hashalom, Ki Atom Melech טסים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
Please take a moment now for silent prayer. Turn now to page 253, where we find the words to the Misha Berach, our prayer for healing and for hope. We ask this prayer on behalf of members of our congregation who are ill, receiving care in hospitals and nursing homes, for those we love, for those we care for all those who care for us, hospital workers, doctors, medical technicians, who have worked so hard to help heal our wounds and care for us amidst this time of pandemic. For all of them and for all of us, we ask these words of prayer, of hope, and of healing.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Berach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
This week's Torah portion, Emor, is usually viewed as a hodgepodge collection of randomly arranged rituals and conspicuously arcane commandments. It begins with the detailed laws regulating the lives and sacrifices of the priests. It moves then to a sweep of the sacred days, the Sabbath, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And then God commands the children of Israel to bring clear olive oil for lighting the sanctuary menorah. And this is the lesson I'd hope to share with you this Shabbat. Here's a brief text that comes at the end. God spoke to Moses, saying, "Command the children of Israel to bring you pure and beaten olives for making light, in order to raise up an eternal flame. Aaron shall arrange it in the tent of meeting outside the curtain from evening to morning, before the eternal God regularly. It's a law for all time throughout the ages. He shall set up the lamps on the pure lampstand before God continually." First glance, this might seem a rather mundane commandment from our ancient past, without any particular connection to the modern world, but it's the phrasing of the commandment which strikes me as particularly significant for today. Why does God speak to Moses, saying Moses should command the children of Israel, saying that they should bring the priest pure olive oil so that the priest could fill the menorah and kindle the lights before God eternally? Why do we need to know that level of detail? Why can't the priests just make their own oil for the lamps themselves? And just to make this clear, the priests did pretty much everything else themselves. They slaughtered the animals for the burnt offerings themselves. They baked the cakes of the meal offerings themselves, and the table of the showbread they made themselves. They kindled the fire on the altar and kept it burning themselves. They managed the fire pans filled with burning coals themselves. They offered incense offerings themselves. They even took out the garbage themselves, the ash from beneath the altar themselves, because even that mundane task was too holy for anyone else to do. And for those things too strenuous for the priests to handle themselves, like schlepping the tent of the tabernacle the size of a football field through the desert, well, they had an entire tribe of Levi to do that and whatever else they might need. And nobody else could even touch this work because it was too holy for the average Israelite to handle. So, for so simple a need as providing a ready supply of olive oil, does God speak to Moses? Then Moses commands the children of Israel, saying that they should bring to the priest pure olive oil so that they could fill the menorah and kindle the lights before God eternally. Why? With a community of priests and an entire army of Levites, why does God need us ultimately at all? The entire sacrificial system could run by itself. And therein lies the lesson. Because we all need to play our part. And supplying the fuel is apparently our part of the kindling of the eternal flame of the menorah, which was a symbol of God's abiding presence among our people in our world. Keeping the light of God's eternal flame burning in our lives, that's our job to do. We need to do our part. Keep that life, that light and that hope alive, l'dor vador, from generation to generation. The times of the tabernacle have passed away, and the days of the great temple in Jerusalem that followed, and the sacrifices once offered there, they've all passed as well. We gather today in synagogues and offer as sacrifices the prayers of our hearts, but this ner tamid, this eternal light, remains as the symbol of God's presence in our midst. This eternal light runs on electricity, not olive oil, and its energy-saving LED lights only need to be replaced every decade or so. So how can we do our part in keeping the flame of God's presence alive in our world? A careful reader of this week's Torah portion might find a clue at the conclusion of the detailed description of the ritual offerings of Shavuot's holiday, just before the part about the kindling of the lights. The Torah chooses to repeat a commandment previously mentioned just a few chapters ago that has nothing to do with the rituals or the holidays or anything else in this Torah portion, but it's there. It says, "And when you cut down the harvest of your land, do not finish off the corners of your field when you harvest them, and do not collect the gleanings of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the eternal God." Why is this seemingly unconnected law repeated here in the midst of the ritual sacrifices and laws of our festivals? Our great sages drew this lesson. This is to teach you that everyone who gives the harvest leavings to the poor, as is proper, we account it to them as if they built the holy temple and offered all the sacrifices within it. Once more, we're reminded that our commitment to the needy and the marginal is of utmost concern and is accounted to be just as sacred as our ritual service to God. This is a lesson that we must relearn over and over again. The fate of the needy and the marginal hang in the balance, and our opportunity to do our part, to be partners with God in the perfection of the world, that waits here too. The eternal light is not simply a symbol of God's presence among us. It's rather a symbol of our communal efforts to make that presence real in our lives. It's a symbol of what we're supposed to do, not a reminder of the one who we already know is always there, being there. It's a reminder that we have to make an effort, an eternal effort, to become partners with God in the building of a better world. This is our Ner Tamid, the symbol of God's presence that burns inside us, always and forever. May this Shabbat be filled with divine light, a light that shines down upon us always, and a light that burns within us as an eternal light, which we kindle again and again in the care of God's creatures and ourselves, from generation to generation, forever. Rise now for the Elenu on page 283. Please join me as we read in the middle of the page. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. We continue together in the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, And may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד It has been said Adonai will be sovereign over all the earth. On that day Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one, and God's name will be one.
Page 288. When I die, give what is left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died in this season in years past, and those we've drawn into our hearts with our own. This week in our congregation, we remember particularly John A. Danello, Shirley Tanchester Reese, Shelley Nafuzi Lips, Jack Myers Junis, Betty Feidelson, Rita Stone, Roy Sloan, Esther Keisler, Noreen Sokoler, Kalman Stern, I.A. Rosenbaum, Melvin Gordon, Harry Ofsovitz, Simon Z. Munitz, Malcolm Friedman, Alma Strauss Glassman, Carol Friedberg, Bessie Perlmutter, Morris Balin, Fred Schutrump, Ginger Lewis, Worley Delano Peppers, William Myers, Aaron Weintraub, Jenny P. Kahn, Fanny Winner, Sidney S. Cohn, Mose Shapira, Jacob Guerin, Manuel Simon, Joseph Haskell, Irvin Schwartz, Irvin Grossman, Francis Levine, Leo Kahn, Nathan Spiegel, Sylvia Tosting, Clara Davis. And we remember, along with the whole house of Israel, those whose lives were lost this week in the land of Israel, in Meron, amidst the crush of the crowds on Lag BaOmer. May their memories shine always in our hearts. We rise for Kaddish, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemeh Rabbah, balma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ulmei ulmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, Damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, amen. Please join us in our closing song, O say shalom, may the one who makes peace in high heavens help us to make peace here on earth.
עושה שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. ואמרו amen.
May God's blessings be upon you as you go from this place, as we leave this moment of Shabbat we have shared together. May together we find our way towards a world of justice and a world of peace. And may we be the builders of that world, the carriers of that light, the kindlers of that eternal flame. We ask God's blessing on all who are gathered here, on all we love and all we share. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you from harm. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yihuneka. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted unto you and grant you always the blessings of peace.
Amen. Amen.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to you all.
Amen.